Okay, class, let's take a look. Now, we are in the final session. It's regards the result of practicing the way of the two vehicle. The result of practicing meaning to say that it's about the merit for being Arahant and as a Pachaka Buddha. So let me try to recall you. Remember, in the very beginning, we talked about that you must have renunciations. You must have a heart to renounce. Okay. Once we talk about that, we target for both the monk and the layman who are aiming for renunciation. All right. Then from here, we go to the Four Noble Truth. Okay. So Four Noble Truth is very crucial. It's number one, we have to understand the suffering. So the fundamental is the suffering of by having this body. All right. So why we have this body? The reason is due to the ignorance and the craving. Okay. So our main purpose to understand this, in order to achieve the Nibbana, we have to practice the Eight Noble Path. We call it as a tree training. All right. So from here, we shift another topic. We go to talk about the tree training. All right. After the tree training, here the definition is a little bit different. The sila is, is more broad because renouncing. So we understand that for monk and nun both have to hold hundreds of the rules and regulation. Then we go to the samadhi. Basically, for this, the samadhi more on anapanasati and foundness contemplations. Okay. Then from here we go to the wisdom. Once we talk about the wisdom, basically the wisdom is about what? It's still we mentioned that there must be the five aggregates, and from the wisdom we can, in the beginning we have to listen to the Dhamma. Then second, we have to contemplate. Okay, and the third one, we have to integrate our jhanas with the vipassana in order to realize the nibbana. Okay, and from here we talk about the Eight Noble Path. This is the largest session. On here, the right view again, we emphasize the paticca samuppada, 12 link condition again. That is the right view, we call it. Then from right view, we go to the right thinking, and from right thinking, we go to the right speech. Okay, the right speech, right action, and right livelihood. After then, we come to the right mindfulness. From right mindfulness, we gain the right samadhi. Okay, so by knowing all this, that's the last part we come is about the merit for being Arahant and the Pachaka Buddha. This is so important. The reason is if you don't know the merit for being Arahant and the Pachaka Buddha, you would aiming for it. So the purpose for this topic is to aiming for the liberation. So liberation, basically here I think Sally Elena is quite ready for that. You retire, so you are close. It's time for you to seek for your next life. Even though you aim for the Western Pure Land, but sometimes the Pure Land Sutra is not very clear about the details regarding what to do. You see. Then for the rest, maybe for your retirement, you can say that Arahant is important, crucial things for the Buddhist knowledge. So for Amanda, Yongsin, and SJ, basically, we can say that this is also is the core of the Buddhism teaching. Can say so. What you've gone through all are core Buddhism teaching. You might not able to use it all, okay, but for the future planning and use it to find your teacher, and then as a fundamental for your further reading and study, that will be very helpful. Okay. But anyway, this session, it doesn't solve the problem in your career. How to deal with the people, but it's other areas. See. So now we go, in details regards the merit. Okay, Yongsin, can you please read the passage? These
are practiced by the sages and are realized by them. The sages of the three vehicles experience the same emancipation and enter the city of nirvana. The doctrine of liberation that transcends this world, that is the doctrines of the Four Truths, dependent origination, the three studies, and the Eightfold Right Path of the Truth of the Way, is as explained above. These doctrines are practiced by the sages and are realized by them. Neither practice nor realization depart from them. for they are the true Dharma as expounded by Sakyamuni Buddha himself. In no other doctrine can one take refuge. There is no other path for liberation and no other everlasting home to which to return. This is what Buddhists should firmly believe, accept, and practice without doubt. All the sages of the three vehicles, Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Buddhas follow this single true Dharma and experience the same emancipation. Just as many different rivers and streams enter the sea, which always has the same salty taste, all sages enter the city of Nirvana and attain ultimate rest. The treaty says, 3 animals cross the river, 3 birds flee the nets. Although they differ in width of water that they cross or in the distance that they fly, they still cannot separate themselves from the wide river or the sky. Therefore, it is said the 3 vehicles enter the same nature of things, and the 3 vehicles occupy the same seats of emancipation.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there anybody can check for me the reference number 52? 3 animals cross the river. 3 animals cross the river.
So is Abhidhamma Mahavibhasa Sastra.
Mahavibhasa Sastra. Okay, in Mandarin we call it as a Da Pi Po Sa Lun. It is correct, Sally, the reference. Abhidhamma Vipassa. Okay, it's Abhidhamma Vipassa is from Vipassa, Da Pi Po Sa Lun. Okay, 3 animals cross the river, meaning to say is about the rabbit, horse, and the elephant. Okay, SJ, do you think it is logic that a rabbit can swim through the river? Or maybe swim on the river? Hey, which was the correct word? Hey, swim on the river, or swim by the river, or swim through the river? Elena, which one's correct? Grammatically, which is more incorrect?
Swim across the river.
Across the river. Okay. Logic. Swim across the river, SJ? Rabbit.
No, but he can sit on top of the elephant.
No, okay. Let me prove it to you. Yeah. You thought like they are nonsense. It's totally not nonsense. Okay, let me prove it to you. Well, I think you're quite surprised. Of course, everybody was surprised regards these facts. But this is quite rare that a rabbit, to swim across the river. Not that common. I think maybe you can. You can only see this type of species. Maybe in certain places only. Okay, so I can show you in YouTube, and I have to off the YouTube. But the reason is, they will mute my this part. Okay, rabbits. Okay, let's try to, let me share it for you, this part.
Deep in the swamps of Missouri, the mud and moisture combine to create an ideal habitat for stranger things.
Thank you so much for the video clip. Okay, the reference, Amanda, you just now mentioned Mahavipassaka, Mahavipassasa. This is compiled about 200 before Christ is in Kashmir. So I think it is compiled by about 500 Arahant together, okay, before 200, under sponsorship of Asoka. I think it's Asoka or Dharmakutta, the king. So, this is an example they could. Okay. I think they have the knowledge about this type of Pani. But they say it's the first ever they are able to film this type of a swamp Pani. You see, I think people are skeptical to this fact for many, many years. Not you and I. A lot of people, they say, wrong. How can a bunny can swim, right? Everybody wrong. But here proof it is right, you see. Why this bunny swimming is good here? The reason is the bunny can swim across, all right? Second is the horse can swim across. The third is the elephant can swim across the river. But the way they cross the river a little bit different is for the bunny, their leg, they cannot reach to the bed of the river. For a horse, sometimes it can reach, but sometimes it doesn't reach. But for elephant, it go very deep to the bed of the river in order to cross the river, you see. So meaning to say that's the experience of the Nibbana. For the Bodhisattva, they are like an elephant, can experience the Nibbana just like an elephant step on the bed of the river. They can know it very well, see. But for the bunny is the Arahant. Even though they can swim across the river, they can feel the river, they can cross suffering, but they don't really go deeper to experience the Nibbana as good as the Bodhisattva and also the Pratyeka Buddha, which we use horse as an analogy. See or not? So this is the way we talk about for this paragraph, meaning to say that they all experience the emancipation, the Nibbana. Nibbana is the mental state. So in order to experience this state, you must be able to see the anicca dukkha anatta, observe it from our body and mind. Once you observe it, once the vipassana mature, you are able to experience the nibbana. Not everybody able. Not within this life. It really depends on the accumulate pyramid. For some people, they may be able to experience within this life, but according to the same sastra, Amanda could if you are the best, maybe within one life. If you are not the best, maybe you have to accumulate a small eon kappa. It depends on the accumulation of the merit and the effort you pay for it. Okay. So that is the meaning. And sometimes the Nibbana, we also will use a different analogy is regards to river. We said that look, a different river will flow to the sea. But no matter how, the taste of the water is still salt. You still feel salty, you see. So meaning to say it's the same. In order to understand the sea, it's not necessary. Okay. In order to know, the taste of the maybe Pacific Ocean. So what we'll try to know the taste of the Pacific Ocean, Yongxin. How are you going to taste the water of the Pacific Oceans?
Sip it or drink it.
No. Where do you get the water? Of course you sip it. Where do you get the water?
Have to go there and get them.
Really? Really have to go to Pacific Ocean?
Or listen to other people who have tried before.
Okay. What is the closest sea beach around here? What's the closest sea beach? Port Dickson? Okay, if let's say you taste the water from the Port Dickson, can you say that also the taste is similar in Pacific Ocean? Can you say so?
Maybe similar.
Maybe similar, huh? Yeah, okay. In order to know the taste of the ocean, it's not necessary to drink the whole water from the ocean, okay, huh? Or maybe not necessarily because of the sea, they are all linked together, huh? But of course, I mean, chemical, I mean, if you use the microscope, if you study microscopically, it might be a little bit different, but the taste is similar, all are salty. So this is the analogy we use. We say that in order to know the Dharma, the Nibbana, basically, just, I mean, taste a little bit, you know the whole thing already. Like for the Sila, Samadhi, and the Prajna is the same. So in order to experience the Nibbana, it's the same. Even though you haven't reached the stage of Buddha, as an Arahant, you taste it, then you will get what the Buddha experienced. So that is the analogy we try to talk about that. Okay. Especially from the sea, let me see first. Because I think Sally Elena, you used to go through the riches, especially to the precept, 什么引一地什么佛法税神 let me see 引一地执权位yeah. The analogy said that the Dharma is very deep. Okay, so many Dharma, but it's not necessary to study all. As they say, no need to taste all. Maybe one drop, and then you will know all already. That is how we, I mean, how we explain that. Okay, let's take a look. Okay. Here is okay. Yeah, this paragraph is about this only lah. So now we come and see the three vehicles occupy the same seat of the emancipation. Okay, and the second analogy is a three birds flee the net lah. So no need to go through it. Just go through one. Three animals cross the river. They will be fine already. Please write down the bunny, the horse, and the third one is the elephant. In Mandarin, it's very famous. We call it as a san shou du he lah. Three animals cross the river. 我以为是大智度论but this is from the Mahavibhasha 大毗婆沙论。In Mandarin, sometimes we use a san shou du he lah. San shou O-O-E san shou du he. Yeah, san shou du he lah. This is correct lah. San shou du he. So mean the animal cross the river. Okay, next paragraph. Amanda, can you please read the passage?
Generally, along the way to emancipation, one has to go through the planting, maturing, and liberating stages. Realization from one's practice may be attained quickly or slowly, but this does not depend on one's level of intelligence. This session will briefly describe those sages who realize the four truths and dependent originations. First, regardless of whether they are Stravakas, Pratyekabuddhas, or Bodhisattvas, every sage has to go through the three stages of planting, maturing, and being liberated in the practice of the way for emancipation. First, the initial hearing of the Buddha Dharma gives rise to the resolution to renounce. This is the root for liberation, just as if a seed were being planted. If one does not have the mental seed of renunciation, no matter how much one hears the Dharma and practices, one will not be liberated. Second, later, seeing the Buddha, listening to the Dharma, and maintaining a practice, the mental seed of liberation gradually matures just as a seed germinates, grows, leaves, and blooms. Third, finally, when everything matures, one can then attain the fruit of realization, just as a tree bears fruits after blossoming. Some Buddhists immediately attain the fruit of realization after listening to the Buddha Dharma. Some cannot accomplish the way even after diligently practicing for their whole life. In this lifetime, whether one can with practice attain realization or not, and whether this realization comes quickly or slowly, depends on one's practice in past life. If one has not planted the mental seed for liberation in the past, but instead has only just begun to renounce and practice in this life, then hoping to attain the fruit of realization quickly is similar to expecting a recently planted seed to immediately bear fruit. But if one has practiced and reached the stage of maturation in past lives, then is born into this life, seeing the Buddha and hearing the Dharma, one can be enlightened. Some even have complete realization without much effort.
Okay, thank you so much. Hey Elena, you've been in Egypt, anybody ask you to taste the water from the Nile River? Have you ever heard about that? Like if you drink the water from the Nile River, one day you will go back to the Nile. You heard about that? Where do you heard from?
My tour guide.
Your tour guide. I also heard about, but from a comic book. Yeah. During our Silk Road, we passed by the Yellow River also. So I created the story to a lady. I said, if you try to drink the water from the Yellow River, one day you will go back to the Yellow River. But no people go and try. Anyway, sometimes it's good how the myth it will make the journey more beautiful. Do you think so? Or make the journey more beautiful Anyway, Elena, do you drink the water from the Nile River? It seems so beautiful, the story you do. even though the story is beautiful. Okay, okay. Anyway, class here. There's one very famous. We call it as what? Proverb. This is a planting, maturing, and being liberated in Mandarin. You can write it down. We call it as a 种熟托. 种熟托. It's very famous. It's under the Sastra of Mahavibhasha. Please write it down. 种熟托. Sorry, you can write down. Okay, I use the abbreviated Chinese. For Elena, you can copy down 种熟托 3. Yes. Okay. So please write here. Planting, maturing, and being liberated. 种熟托. So the meaning is, number one, you're planting the seed for renunciation. You have to plant it in the first place. If you don't plant, then and you don't have a heart to renounce, you won't start the practice. So the intention to renounce is very important. So just like you planting the seed. Okay. So second is regarding the maturing, the process. You need times after you plant it, like it take times for you. You have to put the fertilizer. You have to do the watering. Finally, it will grow up and start to bear the fruits. So then, lastly, the liberation, meaning to say that then you'll be liberated. So the process really depends on individual. Some it take very long time. Some can be very fast. Okay, it depends on the past life. That is the accumulation. It's quite famous. These three words are 种熟托. Okay. So this is the reason why sometimes I'm going to ask. Maybe I ask now. Shall I know what is there besides Sally? Sally I know very well. Sally aiming for the Arahant. How about the rest? Anybody have the heart, have the mind for renouncing the world? Can you put up a hand? Okay, who's still quite uncertain? Can you please put up a hand? You're still uncertain yet because maybe you don't, the Dharma you know not very much, uncertain. No response. So what's the choice actually? Okay, how about the Buddhahood? Can you raise your hand for Buddhahood? Anybody make vow? Okay, Sally. Okay, okay, you make up your mind already. Elena still don't know yet, right? I remember you used to give me the answer. How about SJ? SJ?
I also don't know.
I don't know, meaning to say not uncertain yet lah. You say Amanda same, right? Uncertain, right? Still uncertain, right? Okay, so never mind uncertain. But you have to, actually it's my job to educate you all, let you know, and you have to start the process number one, planting the seed lah. Okay, so not just study only. You have to after this chapter, you have to really think about that. Is this something really you want or not? Maybe not for this time being. Okay. Maybe you enjoy first. Once you feel enough, retire, then start to think, oh yeah. Next life, probably you don't want the reincarnation anymore. Then you should have to start already. So we need to set the process number one, the planting. At least you begin. But I think you forget mostly people will forget what they are. What is their vow in their past life? How can you recall? Sometimes through meditation. Some people want to meditate, go quite deep. And some they will have the image appeared that, oh, actually the past life, they are the monk before. You don't know. Maybe you were many years already, many life become a monk already. So now you pay back. You have to come back and pay back to your parents, to the husband and wife, you see or not? Anyway, who are you going to meet whether you marry or not marry, or whether you marry and got children or not, or whether what's your occupation, and whether you healthy or not healthy, how much money you have, the accumulation of money, all actually is the scripture written down once you're born, and you are the author. You are the author. The karma is the scripture. And the five aggregate is the main character. and then the people around you, they are the supporting actors to help you to play the whole movie for this life. Actually, this is really it can be it can be a comedy, okay, comedy, but it can be a悲劇how should I put it, Elena? The story or is a sad story lah. 悲劇comedy mean is regarding
tear-jerking story.
Tear-jerking story, yeah. Okay, whether it's a story, is a comedy or tear-jerking story, actually all is written by ourselves. Yeah, but we just play over it. We play over it. And when we do it, we forget already. The story we write by ourselves and we play by ourselves also. You see, so that's why. But anyway, for this life, this moment, the moment you born, I think maybe after the moment you born, your mother can help you to change your scripture, especially the mother, because our mother, our parents, especially the mother, they form our character. Because once our mother, they educate us very well, especially you must be polite to the senior, and you're polite, and also especially the politeness. Once you're polite and you have a good temper, then 那个乖人we call it as how should I put that? Elena, 贵人点样讲贵人你的贵人okay your senior or whatever they come because you are very polite, they will help you. Because human is very important within the scripture. They are the turning point. Am I right? If you ask yourself, the accumulation of your wealth, the accumulation for your, for your career, basically you can find that you met some guy or somebody. They are the one start to make you have a turning point from one stage to another stages. See now. So meaning to say that if you're polite, they will help you. Okay. If you're not polite, they will help you. So you see, so in the very beginning, our character had been shaped already. The past life karma. Then we met our parents. So how the parents educate us. Then later on, once we grow up, whether you met the Dharma, whether you met a good teacher to guide you, so how to play well, the scripture, the roles, whether you can play well your roles, according to the scripture or not. So that is the crucial point. So this is not decided by the past life. It's decided by yourself. Your attitudes towards, sometimes whether it's a comedy or the bitter jitter story, it's really up to your attitude. Sometimes it was a bitter jitter story, but since your attitude is correct, then you can, it's more fruitful. You can learn more things. But compare some people, they born in a very rich family, they can be they can go for deterioration sometimes. Why? Because too rich already. And then no struggle within the life, no bitter within the life. They cannot be successful in their career or whatever. See. So this is this is the part it's in our hand. Who are we going to meet actually, and what thing happened sometimes it's already determined in the past life already, but it can be changing, especially now we know all the rules of the karma, because wherever karma you create, okay, some karma it will be ripened within this life, some will be ripened next life, some will be ripened in the future life. As long as you're still alive, even though for the next life, the karma still persistent there. It won't gone, except you reach emancipation. So you see, whatever good or bad karma, now what you see from you is accumulation. It's an accumulation, you see. You thought SJ go to Germany, you think it's a coincidence. I don't think so. The thing you see like a coincidence actually is not a coincidence. There must be some cause and effect. Maybe some you can trace back to the past life. You see or not? There it can be different. You see, because according to the statistic, most of the Chinese they believe 八九 meaning to say when you born, the time, the date, and the year. You know or not? Every 1 second there are about 4,000 people born. Meaning to say 4,000 people with the same year, I mean the year of born and the month and the day and even the second is the same, you know. Are they experience the same fate? Of course, no one. Okay, but the trend will be the same. The trend are same. But the people that met, the parents have to educate them, and then later on, the religions all make them, and then in all the turning point, how they make the decision. So you can see there's a different already. So the life will be totally different, even though it's the same. If let's say it's the same, meaning to say that once they're registered to marry, you will see 4,000 people are married in the same place. Am I right? And should be with the same man what? Am I right? If let's say the party everybody go according to the party. So 4,000 people, 4,000 should be married at the same time. Am I right? With the same husband, with the same also the date and the age, right? It's not logic one. You see or not? It never happened. So meaning to say that one the trend for this 4,000 people is about the same. But it can be very geographically and also education background, many costs to change it. Okay, so this is something about the karma also can relate to our fate. Then next, let's take a look. So here we said that we got 3 stages in order for the Zhong Shou Tuo. So number one is the initial hearing. You must have the resolutions to renounce. Okay, glad to hear that. Okay, at least Yokwa and also Sally have make a vow already. Okay, then second is here. I say if doesn't have the mental state of renunciation, then you will not be liberated. Okay, hopefully you can decide later on. Later, seeing the Buddha, listening to the Dharma and maintain a practice, you have to start to practice. So basically, most of you start practice. You start holding the precept. Okay, class, especially recently, I checked the Facebook, a lot of charity organization asking for the financial assistance. So it's a good opportunity for you to do a little bit donation, because the karma, especially the present, especially the part will be ripened in this life. If you do now, the opportunity, the next 20, 30 life, they all will be ripened. Then meaning to say that, in terms of the basic requisite, you will have ample basic requisite. So take opportunity. Now a lot of organizations don't know why. We know why inflation. Not many people visit because now another wave. And now it's the 5th wave, 6th wave. Sally, now the virus spiking is the 5th wave or 6th wave. You don't know.
No idea.
No idea. Many wave already. So that's the reason. I go through the Facebook. Wow, so many organizations come back again. They advertise. They say no people come to the center. So please, if possible, take an opportunity to help. Then you can search the ROS registration and the KKM registration to verify the status. We don't want to be cheated by the scammer. Okay, next, and then see number 2, seeing the Buddha, listening to the Dharma and maintaining the practice. Third one is attain to the fruit. Then you see some they say they can immediately attain, but some no. It depends on one practice in the past life. Okay, see, but if one has practiced and reached the stage of maturization in the past life, and then is born into this life, they can be enlightened. Yes, the example is the Moggallana and the Sariputra. Basically, both of them can enlighten within this life after listening to one of the stanza. But you say, how come one stanza enough to enlighten? Well, we can explain differently. So some say that because the Gaya is too, it's for memorization and to pass from one generation to one generation. Of course, not much detail. So we just ignore the detail. Once they pass from one generation to another generation. And second, maybe they are ready. They well equip themselves with all the Dharma. So they just one stanza is already enough for them to experience the Nirvana. So we have a different way to explain why it happened in this way. But anyway, in our Chinese Zen, sometimes if you marry is sufficiently accumulated is accumulated in a sufficient amount, you can get enlightened. Maybe just sometime it happen, maybe you break a glass, okay, maybe you fall down, and sometimes the master, if they know by hitting you or punching you, you get enlightened, they will punch you, in China's Zen now. You heard about that, right? So you should be happy if the master ready to use a broom to punch you, because he knows you are about to enlighten, so they will use some method to make you enlightened. But you cannot copy you cannot see a master use the broom to punch people, so you also use the broom. Cannot, because it must be the master know very well, in this situation they should do something. Okay, so this is also happened in the Zen school, with enlightened, with a special technique Only Zen only the other school no we don't see it in other school Okay, yes, let's see so this story actually come from the Xu Yun. It's a Xu Yun enlightened through breaking a glass 虚云虚云开悟打破杯子打破杯子 Let's see this is the I think we didn't get a picture maybe we can just we have to check the video clip so there must be this video clip, because it's quite famous once a glass once a glass was broken then he got enlightened. It's very famous story for Master Xu Yun please write down this is Xu Yun Xi Yu Xu Yun Xi Yu Xu Yun Master Xu Yun please write down it's quite famous enlightened through breaking a glass unintentionally, cannot intentionally, basically for the Zen everything must happen unintentionally, and of course it is not a coincidence there must be some cause and effect there So it sounds a little bit contradictory. It cannot happen intentionally, but it's not coincidentally. So what is it? Okay, so finish. So next paragraph. Yes, can you please read the next passage? Whether this life,
whether this life's course of practice is fast or slow will therefore vary. It will depend on one's preparation in past lives and not on one's level of intelligence. Of course, there are people with sharp capacity and people with dull capacities, as discussed above. There are those who follow their beliefs and those who follow their understanding. Emphasize on the need for a teacher and for faith indicates a dull capacity, while emphasis on independent studying and wisdom indicates a sharp capacity. People of both capacities must go through the 3 stages of planting, maturing, and being liberated. However, in the modern Buddhist world, there are many people who have concepts that contradict the sutras and theses. They differentiate between sharp or dull capacity merely by looking neither at the efforts in practice that people apply towards realization in this life, or at the time needed for their realization. Not knowing they have is completely reversed. Besides being differentiated in terms of emphasis on faith or on wisdom, those who are eager to succeed quickly are of that capacity, while those who succeed later are of short capacity. As far as the three whiskers are concerned, the fundamental nature of Sravakas is that of Prajeka Buddhas is medium, and that of Bodhisattvas is short. Sravakas are of dark capacities in that the time between resolving to practice and attaining reparation spans at least 3 lives and possibly as many as 60 kapas. The fundamental nature of Prajeka Buddhas is sharper in that they require at least 4 lives and up to 100 kapas. Bodhisattvas with the sharpest capacity have to practice for 3 great countless kapas before they can be ultimately emancipated. Short and dark capacities will be further explained according to the sutras in the following chapter.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, class, basically, now is regards the definition for the dull capacity and the sharp capacity. Where our definition is a little bit different. Number one, if you can study independently and a wisdom type people, you are considered sharp capacity. If let's say you need a teacher, then more based on faith, you are a Tao capacity. Basically, for Buddha and Pratyeka Buddha, both of them are sharp capacity because they are able to enlighten without the assistance from the teacher. Okay, Pratyeka Buddha. Whereas for the Shravaka, the definition for Shravaka means the hearing, hearing the Dharma. They need a teacher, so they are considered a Tao capacity. Okay, why? Okay, because everything we talk about cause and effect, how come Pratyeka Buddha can enlighten without the guidance from the teacher? Sally, you think why?
Cultivation from previous lives.
Yes. Everything just go back to the previous slide, then will be correct already, right? Yeah. Sometimes I remember my childhood, I read the comics, no matter how complicated, finally it's about what? The alien. I want the same one. In the beginning, it goes very awkward. The thing mysteriously, a lot of miracles, maybe the dragon or whatever. I finally, it's about the alien. As the same for us, everything is go back to the past life. Okay. So, okay, for Pratyeka Buddha, it's a little bit different. Is in the past life, they are the Sotapan. Okay, they are the Sotapan. So, the Sotapan haven't liberated yet. Okay, so next life, when Sotapan reborn, at that time, they don't see any Buddha. Okay, but they already have the knowledge and experience in practicing the Vipassana. So they just recall the skills. They just record the skills. So once they record the skills, and then they enlighten already. Then they get to the the arahantship. So we will name them as a Pratyeka Buddha. Why? Because in the past life they are the Sotapan. They already attained certain stage. Whereas for Buddha also same. Because once he noticed that he feel that after the teaching from the immaterial jhana, he noticed that this is not ultimate. So finally, under Bodhi tree, he tried to recall back. He recall in the previous life, and then through the contemplation for the Pratyeka Samubhada, then he was able to enlighten. Okay, so everything must be related to the past life. Why this is so important? Because during Buddha time, they got some sectarian. The Kapha, they don't believe past life. They say everything can happen by coincidence. They don't believe everything because of cause and effect. They don't believe that. So for this guy, if they don't believe, you can say a little bit dangerous. A little bit dangerous because everything is without a cause and effect. So when you die, so maybe you just totally annihilated, totally gone already. If that's the case, I mean to say that you just do whatever you want to do. You could be very immoral, you see, very dangerous, this type of people. If you believe cause and effect, I think you will be very careful. Whatever you do, you have to carry the responsibility, even the next life, you see. You have to suffer in the next life, even though you forget, you see, but you still be scared, next life, have to experience all these things, you see. So you'll be very careful. That's why, this perception can help you to enhance your morality. Okay, so this is the definition for this regarding the capacity. Okay, class here, according to the Sastra of the Mahavipasaka, you see for this, for the Stravaka, at least three life, and maybe you can go to the 60 kappa. Okay, so here, but just now Sally raised hand. You aim not for the Arahant, you aim for Buddhahood, right, Sally? Okay, so no, it is irrelevant to you, Sally. Irrelevant to you. I thought it's related to you, see. It's for the Stravaka. For Pratyeka Buddha, you see, at least 4 life, you see, 4 life, and up to 100 kappas. Okay, whereas for Bodhisattva, if it sharpens capacity, 3 great countless kappa. You see, here the definition a little bit different. You say, even the sharp capacity, you take longer time, you see. Why? Because for the Tao capacity, They are just, they will take a shorter time because they are rushed for liberation. So this is the different definition. But whereas for Bodhisattva, because the accumulation for the three Mahakappa, and then this time is just enough to accumulate the merit for being Buddhahood. But for them, they don't rush for it. So that is the characteristic for the sharp capacity. Okay, so Sally, if let's say this time is too long for you, maybe you can go to the Pure Land. So you go to the Pure Land. Once you go to the stage, which is quite steady, and when you retrogress, then you come back here again. Why? I think you end the same thing, right? Three years kappa maybe feel long, okay, so you can aim for Western Pure Land. Okay, now we go to the fruition of the Stravaka practice. Okay, we begin with the Stotapana. Okay, Elena, can you please read the passage?
The first fruition, Stotapana. One who truly understands the true Dhamma is initially called Stotapana. The three bonds are completely cut, and endless birth and deaths are ended. When the cultivators of Stravaka vehicle attain the holy fruit, they pass through 4 levels. Here is an explanation of the initial fruit. Contemplating the impermanence and selflessness of Dhamma within dependent origination in accord with the extinction of dependent origination, which is itself a realization of the true Dhamma called entrance into the Dhamma realm. A stage who initially realizes the true Dhamma is called a Srotapana, and a Sanskrit term meaning belonging to the stream or entering the stream. A person who practices to this level is in accord with the stream of the nature of things and belongs among the stages of the stream level. The sutra describes the realization of the fruit of Srotapana as understanding the Dhamma, attaining the Dhamma, realizing the Dhamma, entering the Dhamma, leaving behind all doubts but not through reliance upon others, entering the true Dhamma, having attained fearlessness. Thus, this fruit is concerned with clear understanding, self-enlightenment, and absolute faith in the true Dhamma.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Is there anybody can check for me the reference number 56? I smell the belacan very strong from our neighborhood. Oh, wow, very strong, but a little bit smelly. I think belacan got some got some meat inside, right? I feel smelly 啦。又齋做咩嚇？點解聞到有多少
Prawns.
prawn 啊？
Prawns.
哦，no wonder 啦，我聞到臭，哎呦死啊，臭到唔停啊。OK，what's the reference 啊，class 啊？
Samyutta Agama.
Okay, yeah, Samyutta Agama. Okay, class, basically, what you mentioned is regards the merit for the Stratapanna. You see, number one is a clear understanding, self-understanding, and absolute faith. This is their virtue. Class, basically, especially the absolute faith. We say that once you reach to the Stratapanna, entering the stream, you will never retrogress, and you have absolute faith to the triple jet. And before the Stratapanna, you can retrogress anytime. Anytime you can retrogress because your experience through contemplating the anicca dukkha anatta is not taraf, but for them it's very taraf. They already see the nibbana, so they won't retrogress. They won't change the destinations to other religions, and they won't change other religion. They will be very confident to the Eight Noble Path and Four Noble Truth. This is why we said this. So you see, here is regards on number 56. You see, here is the description of understanding, attaining, realization, entering. But we will more detailed understand in the next passage. Here, the definition. We talk about the Stravaka. There's totally four levels for the Stravaka, you see. So here, we say it's entrance into the Dharma realm. Really entrance to the Dharma realm. Because due to the experience to the Nibbana, so we said the entrance into the Dharma realm. Okay. Then we call it as a Stratapanna. You see, Stratapanna is entering the stream. So that is the meaning here. So next one more paragraph. Okay. Yeah, Sally, can you please read the passage of the sage?
The sage of the initial fruit has already cut the root of birth and death and the primary afflictions. According to the analysis of the later philosophers, there are many afflictions. Generally, they can be divided into two categories. The first comprises afflictions that are cut off by understanding the way. These confusions of understanding are overcome by wisdom that comes from realizing the nature of things. The second category comprises afflictions that are cut off by practicing the way. These confusions of practice have to be cut away bit by bit through continuous practice. Those afflictions that are overcome by initial friction belong to the confusions of understanding, which are extremely numerous. The philosophers call them the 88 confusions. But in the sutras, the Buddha always emphasized cutting away the three bonds. The three bonds, the bond of self-perfection, the bond of keeping in appropriate precepts, and the bond of doubt, are completely cut without any residue by initial friction. The bond here is that of birth and death. So when the three bonds are cut, this means that the bonds of birth and death are untied. The bond of perception of a permanent self, the illusory attachment to the self, is the root of birth and death. Arising from the perception of a permanent self are the views of I and mine. Annihilism, eternalism, monism, pluralism, existence, non-existence, and so on. When self-perception is cut through, all these are cut through as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, class, basically, if you attain a Srotapanna, this three bond is the most famous. Meaning to say that the bond of the self-perception. Here, the meaning is what? Is the self-perception, meaning to say that the hallucination of the self, you see, we always feel that we got I or my. I mean, meaning to say that actually, according to the Dharma, we're in a dream. We dream that this body and the body and mind for this, I mean, for what we get is so real. But actually, this is a wrong perception. If let's say we're able to go into the jhana and observe, we notice that actually this body is not as solid as we feel now, you see. Here, the five aggregate, no matter what we see, what we hear, what we feel, our perception, we feel everything is real, very solid, but actually it's not solid. So that is the definition of an I or mind. If let's say we attain to the Srotapanna, we totally can eradicate this wrong view and we will untie the knot for the birth and death. That is the crucial point. But here, once you already untied the knot of birth and death, so you cannot be Bodhisattva anymore. Why? The reason is in order to become Bodhisattva, you must come back to the dream with all the living beings and you teach all the living beings in order to do the Sila Samadhi and Panya. But the problem is you already enlightened. You already wake up already. Once you wake up, you cannot communicate with us. We are all in a dream, you see. So that's why for Bodhisattva, they will never reach to the Sotapan stage. Because when they reach already, the remaining is the 7 life only. So you can save as many as possible. But for Bodhisattva, since they haven't reached to this stage, to untie the knot of the birth of death, meaning to say that they can stay here so long and then they can help their past life parents, and relative, because so many relative in the past life, you see, because we already reincarnate for so many life, incalculable, you see. So this three bond is very famous. Okay, basically, just now we also mentioned these two number one is regards the 88 confusion. Please write down. This is from the view or point from the Sarvastivada. So it's from Sarvastivada. Once we go through Abhidhamma, we wouldn't go through this 88 confusion. This is a different way to categorize the confusion. And then one more is regarding this confusion of understanding. Is a confusion of practice, both also under the system of the Sarvastivada. So confusion understanding, you just suddenly, you got the wisdom, immediately you realize the nature of the thing already. But this one, confusion and practice, you have to do bit by bit through the practice. But both they combine together is 88 confusion. In order to enlighten, you really need time to overcome all this. See. But basically, the meditations, the method for the path for the path of purification is more common compared with the Sarvastivada. So later on, I think I will more emphasis on the Visuddhimagga system and the Nikaya system and the Samyutta Agama system, so that you can apply the knowledge once you go to join the retreat in Theravada. Okay, so SJ, you see Germany, I think they also can see some school of Theravada. They do the retreat, you join. If you've got a holiday, you can go there and join. Then you can really, you can know better. Once you join the retreat, come back and read again, you can know it better. So that's the class for today.